July 31st, 2016. A brand new game called Çiftlik Bank launches in the Turkish App Store. The game lets you invest in your own farm. You know the drill: cows, chickens, and goats. But Çiftlik Bank is more than just a game. It's connected to the real world. On the app, you can invest your money in virtual livestock. By doing that, you automatically invest in real farms that actually exist, and the real produce of those real animals are then sold in dedicated farm shops near you. So Çiftlik Bank is not just about gaming. You can also make actual money and support farmers. Sounds too good to be true, right? Right. This innocuous young man is the brains behind the app. He fooled an entire country, scammed money from over 100,000 people, and disappeared with over $80 million. Where is he today? And how did he pull this off?
Çiftlik bank oley, para kaynağın çiftlik bank oley, koskocaman istihdam oley, çiftlik bank istikrar oley, çiftlik bank oley, çiftlik bank istikrar oley.
We came across the Çiftlik Bank fraud through this article by journalist Paul Osterland. He did an incredible job in researching the whole story. You'll find the link to the article in the description. Mehmet Aydin grows up in Bursa. That's a major city in northwestern Turkey. His background is humble. His family doesn't have much money, so he drops out of school as a teenager and makes a living as a waiter and dishwasher. His actual dream is to become a famous rapper. He never makes it big, but he makes some contacts in the Turkish rap scene and meets an online game designer. The two become friends. Aydin is a big fan of the Facebook game Farmville. In 2016, he and his new buddy team up in his basement apartment to co-develop a Farmville clone. They call it Çiftlik Bank, that's Turkish for farm bank. The game is an instant hit. It attracts 50,000 active players within less than 8 months. The idea is simple. You start and manage your own farm. You use gold as a currency to buy animals, like chickens, goat, cattle, and bees. You earn cash back by selling the honey, eggs, and milk that your animals produce. You can then use the profits from these sales to buy more livestock, and so on. You can also pay real money to buy virtual gold and run your farm. And that's not just some pay-to-win model. If your farm does well and you make some proper virtual gold, you can exchange your virtual proceeds back into real money. Aydin has a groundbreaking idea. The money that players pour into the game will be invested in real livestock operations, and the profits from these real farms and products will flow back to the players. So Çiftlik Bank becomes a hybrid form between a video game and a crowdfunding platform for Turkish agriculture. Investments like these are in high demand at the time. Turkey's agriculture is struggling due to a number of factors. More and more products have to be imported. But Çiftlik Bank suddenly gives people a chance to directly support the country's entire farming sector. It all sounded way too good to be true, and it shows just how hard it can be to realize you're being thoroughly screwed and rubbed. Imagine you're sipping your morning coffee when you get an email confirming a purchase you never made. Panic sets in. You've been hacked. Your personal data can easily be stolen and misused. So-called data brokers collect and sell your details, from your name and address to your browsing history and even your online payments. Next thing you know, you're bombarded with spam calls, phishing emails, and in the worst case, unauthorized charges. Stress levels rise as you try to secure your accounts and reclaim your identity. It's a nightmare scenario that can happen to anyone. Incogni protects your privacy by contacting data brokers to remove your personal information and handling any pushback. Prevent data breaches from ruining your peace of mind. Use the code FERNTV at incogni.com/FERNTV to get an exclusive 60% off an annual Incogni plan. Always handle all your data online with care. In early 2017, Aydin goes on to launch the first 2 real-life farms near his hometown. He's hosting huge opening ceremonies. They're attended by a district governor and a local mayor. Aydin is a pop star at those events. Bodyguards have to shield the successful entrepreneur from his fans. Right from the beginning, Aydin's project is supported by some influential people. This commercial features the famous Turkish TV actor Mehmet Çevik.
Yılma ve asla yorulma.
Çevik also acts as the company's press consultant. Within a year, more than 100 of these farm bank shops pop up throughout the entire country. They sell the products from the Çiftlik Bank operations. Here you can see cheese, honey, and sausages with the logo. Çiftlik Bank players receive 5% of their profits in vouchers for these shops. You can choose the products in-game and pick them up at the nearest location. The rest of the profit is supposed to be real money. Say a player pays around $4,200 to buy 3 virtual beehives. He makes $840 per month off his bees. So within 1 year, our online beekeeper racks up profits worth over $5,800. At its peak, Chiflik Bank has over 500,000 active players. More than 130,000 people invest their actual money. Some of them even take out huge loans to do so. A total of $250 million are poured into the game. Unfortunately, Chiflik Bank is a massive scam, a Ponzi scheme, and Mehmet Aydin is a fraudster. The products at the franchise shops may bear the logo of the game, but they do not come from the company's own livestock. Most of those farms are inactive and only serve as a front. In the beginning, however, players always get their money on time. But Aydin's pyramid scheme only works so long as it grows and attracts new players that put in new money. The money is then used to pay out profits to existing players. The company does extensive marketing and hands out commissions for bringing in new players. In late 2017, only a year and a half after the game was launched, things start getting messy. Players complain about false promises on social media, and financial regulators in Turkey put Chiflik Bank on their radar. The authorities become particularly skeptical when they find out that the company's bank accounts are held by a shell company based in northern Cyprus. Another Turkish authority, Turkish Ministry of Customs and Trade, starts looking into the company's finances. Aydin realizes he can't keep up his scheme for much longer. In December 2017, he suddenly sells his shares in the company. A month later, Chiflik Bank says it has suspended accepting new users. It also stops paying out profits. Rumor has it that the banks are refusing to work with Aydin's company after the complaints. Many players are furious and want their money back. Some of them have invested all their savings, believing they could make profits and at the same time do some good for their country. News officially breaks in March 2018. Authorities determine that Chiflik Bank is indeed a scam. Prosecutors launch a criminal investigation. They issue a warrant for Mehmet Aydin and some of his employees. But Aydin has vanished into thin air. Interpol puts out a red notice for his arrest. Police forces worldwide are asked to track him down. It soon turns out that Aydin has fled to Uruguay, but he doesn't exactly lay low. He is seen driving around in his Ferrari. He posts this video. This is his private yacht. To pay for all this, Aydin stole millions from Chiflik Bank users, and he's been doing so long before running off to Uruguay. His former bodyguard says he frequently went to casinos in northern Cyprus to gamble and party hard. Now it looks like he just keeps living the good life down in South America, like nothing happened. 12,000 kilometers away, the fraud story dominates Turkish media for months. Angry players raid one of the real farms and try to load the animals onto trucks. Aydin plays the victim and blames the Turkish state. He says he couldn't pay his players because authorities seized his company's assets. His former partners are busy apologizing to the Turkish public. This is actor Mehmet Çevik calling to apologize on national TV. Then the buzz around Aydin slowly fades away. In January 2020, private investigators figure out that Aydin may be hiding out in Brazil. A year and a half later, Aydin ultimately turns himself into the Turkish consulate in Sao Paulo. He's arrested and flown to Turkey 2 days later. A mob of journalists is waiting for him when he arrives in Istanbul. He's taken to court shortly after. Mehmet Aydin and his accomplices are facing long prison terms. And by long, we mean really long. Aydin is looking at a total of 89,000 years in jail. His Ferrari and yacht have been seized by authorities in Uruguay. He fled with $80.5 million, 322 million lira, in cash. He returned with just $13 in his wallet. It's absurd that Aydin was able to embezzle hundreds of millions of dollars in such a short time, while no one really questioned his rather unconventional business model. An entire nation believed in the seemingly groundbreaking idea of this seemingly innocent, boyish man. Supporting your country's economy by gaming and getting rich along the way sounded like a tempting offer, and many people blindly accept it. The golden rule of too good to be true holds true yet again.
John Allen Chau paddles through the Indian Ocean. He's on a holy mission, sent from God. As he nears the shore, he spots them. They are shouting at him in a language he doesn't understand. He carefully listens to the sounds they make. In an attempt to greet them, he responds by imitating the sounds. They laugh. Then 2 come towards him. So he throws gifts wrapped around 2 large fish into the shallow water. Then he starts to sing Christian worship songs, and for a moment, they pause. But his kayak scrapes onto the dead coral, forcing him to get out. And some of them are getting very close now. Suddenly, a child grabs an arrow, pulls back his bow, and shoots. John entered a forbidden place where time stands still. Outsiders like him are not welcome. North Sentinel Island is one of the most secluded places on Earth, and it's home to a tribe that has lived in total isolation for tens of thousands of years. We don't know what language they speak, how many they are, or even what they call themselves. Over the years, contact attempts have ended in confusion, violence, and death. Myths, viral headlines, and speculation have turned North Sentinel into a modern-day internet legend. The real story is much more nuanced. It's one of intrusive American tourists with Diet Cokes, ruthless Christian missionaries, abusive colonialists, traumatized children, and a highly destructive obsession with the exotic. The internet has a lot to say about North Sentinel Island.
They have a theory that North Sentinel Island is home to a top secret research facility.
There is an island in the Andaman chain called North Sentinel Island. They kill everybody who lands there, essentially.
Yeah. What really caught my eye was the circular building, 3 little offshoots coming off of it.
There's North Sentinel merch, Instagram pages, and fake Google reviews. Most of all, it's known for being dangerous. North Sentinel has become a meme. In January 2025, this American YouTuber entered the island. He filmed himself trying to make contact with the Sentinelese. As a peace offering, he left behind a can of Diet Coke, but he never actually made contact. Instead, he got arrested. Indian police are currently investigating him for illegally trespassing in the strictly forbidden zone. He is likely facing up to 5 years in prison.
I think we live in a world where all we need to do is sort of flip open our laptop or look at our phone, and we can connect with just about anybody in the world, learn anything that we want to learn, see any place that we want to see. And yet there's still this one place that's isolated. So it really is kind of the last place in some ways that's unexplored on our planet.
North Sentinel is not what the internet paints it to be. To truly grasp it, we need to go back in time, quite far back. It's the last ice age. A group of early humans set out from their home in Africa. It's still debated when exactly that took place, but it is believed to be between 40 and 60,000 years ago. They're among the first to migrate eastward across the vast Asian continent in search of more favorable climates, new food sources, and habitable land. The world looks very different. Massive ice sheets cover parts of North America and Europe. Since much of Earth's water is locked in ice, sea levels are often far lower than they are today. What we now call the Asian continent stretches farther. Some islands are connected, and so these early humans walk. They cross landscapes long lost beneath the waves of what we now call the Indian Ocean. They likely use vessels like rafts or canoes to hop from island to island, and their journey eventually brings them here. We don't know when, possibly up to 50,000 years ago. Today it's the Andaman Archipelago, nestled in the Bay of Bengal. As thousands of years pass and the glaciers melt, the sea levels slowly rise. Bit by bit, their world shrinks. And what ultimately remains is a single remote island roughly the size of Manhattan, North Sentinel. We spent countless hours crafting these animations, researching, building, refining, all to tell stories that matter. Maybe you're building something too, a product, a brand, a business. That's where Shopify comes in. Shopify is a powerful all-in-one platform. We've personally used it for years for our sustainable clothing business. We've built a professional online shop with ease, constantly optimizing the user experience. Beyond core features like useful analytics and live views, Shopify offers 2 great new tools. Horizon makes designing your store even easier. You pick the theme, then customize the layout however you like. It's fast, smooth, and easy to use. Sidekick looks at your store's data in real time and offers useful insights. What's working, what's not, and what to try next. So if you're thinking of starting something or just want a better way to run it, try Shopify for free at shopify.com/fern or scan this QR code. The exact origin of North Sentinel's population is still a mystery. No genetic material has ever been collected from the Sentinelese. But the DNA of neighboring Andamanese tribes has been studied. The Onge and Jarava are believed to be closely related to the Sentinelese. Scientists found that their genes carry 2 rare variants not found in mainland India populations. They are totally unique to the Andamanese. That means they likely split off from other human populations very early on, between 25 and 42,000 years ago. Genetically, the Sentinelese are likely one of the most unique human tribes on Earth, which also makes them one of the most vulnerable ones. This is John 2 years before his journey to North Sentinel Island. He's 24 years old, raised in a Christian household. He went to an evangelical high school just like his father. He's known for 2 passions, the outdoors and Jesus Christ. John is deeply interested in missionary work. Though his parents are Christian as well, they don't share his enthusiasm, especially his father. But John seems to genuinely enjoy immersing himself in evangelical doctrine. Right now, he's browsing through the Joshua Project. That's a Christian missionary database which tracks so-called unreached people groups. One entry is about North Sentinel.
Sentinelese people need to know that the Creator God exists and that He loves them, and paid the price for their sins.
We don't know much about the Sentinelese. The entire population is possibly somewhere between 80 and 100 people. Their language remains a complete mystery. No one, not even neighboring tribes, can understand it. No one knows what they call themselves. They live in small huts grouped tightly together. Overall, they're quite crafty. Wooden buckets, bows, arrows, all self-made with raw materials from the island. In the jungle they hunt pigs, along the reefs they fish. They also eat local fruits and raw honey. The Sentinelese are taller, more muscular, and overall healthier than their neighbors. A tsunami wreaked havoc in the region in 2004, but the Sentinelese miraculously survived. Experts believe this may have to do with their indigenous knowledge system. Foresight and wisdom is passed down from generation to generation. But this was perhaps the strangest discovery in a Sentinelese village. A wooden board, about 52 by 30 centimeters big, with 64 alternating squares. It looks exactly like a chessboard. Did the Sentinelese carve it themselves? Or did it wash up from the sea? No one knows. No other Andaman tribe has ever shown evidence of playing games like chess. John has been obsessed with the Sentinelese for years now. The missionary website advises so-called prayer points.
Pray that the Indian government will allow Christians to earn the trust of the Sentinelese people and that they will be permitted to live among them. Pray that God will open doors to Sentinelese people to receive the gospel message.
John could be the first one that brings Christianity to them. In fact, he thinks it's his calling.
God, I thank you for choosing me before I was even yet formed in my mother's womb, to be your messenger of your great news to the people of North Sentinel Island.
The Sentinelese certainly didn't express any desire to be converted. Their experience with intruders has been, well, pretty terrible. It's the year 1880. A Sentinelese family walks through the jungle. Suddenly, they hear voices through the bushes. Unfamiliar voices. For weeks now, strange white men have been fighting their way through the jungle on the island. They carry weapons and seem to be looking for inhabitants. When they approached one of their villages some days earlier, the Sentinelese ran away. Now, suddenly, they stand face to face. Ready to defend his family, the old man reaches for an arrow. The armed intruders rapidly encircle the Sentinelese family. They are led by the man in the center. His name is Moras Vidal Portman. and he's been searching for them for a long time. Portman is a 20-year-old British officer put in charge to oversee the Andaman Islands under colonial rule. He is fascinated with the indigenous tribes in the area. While staying in Port Blair, the capital city of the Andaman Islands, he immersed himself in the study of the Andamanese people. Culture, food, crafts, and tattoos. Everything is carefully documented in his notebooks. He arranges young Andamanese men for the camera, posing them in unnatural, almost performative ways. He likes to surround himself with a group of Andamanese convict servants. He calls them junglies. But there's one place he hasn't conquered so far, North Sentinel Island. To him, it's the last great mystery of the archipelago. He's obsessed with the Sentinelese, convinced that he could be the first white man they'll ever meet. He's tried to contact them before and failed. But now, he has a new plan. As the old Sentinelese man draws his arrow, one of the intruders jumps on his back. The 3 Sentinelese are wrestled down and taken, torn from the only home they've ever known. Portman has them brought back to his ship. 3 Sentinelese children are already on board, captured earlier. The islanders don't understand who these men are or what they want. Portman takes them back to Port Blair. Here, he keeps them at his house to study them closer. The Sentinelese become very sick right away. Within just a few days, the old man and the woman die. Most likely, they were exposed to microbes and diseases their immune system couldn't handle. Now, it's just the 4 Sentinelese children without the elders. A few days later, they're sent back to the island, overloaded with gifts. Portman hopes they'll return to their people as willing ambassadors. The children might have carried the very microbes that killed the man and the woman. We don't know what happened to them afterwards. Infections remain one of the greatest dangers to isolated tribes. Many have never been exposed to common viruses like the flu or even a cold. Their immune system simply can't cope. What's harmless to the rest of the world could be deadly for them. A single infection from an outsider could wipe out an entire tribe. In the 16th century, Spanish colonizers brought diseases to South America, likely without realizing it. In some regions, entire populations were cut in half. Andaman tribes were affected by this too. The Onge and Jarava have seen a dramatic collapse in their population. In 1901, the Onge numbered around 670. Today, barely 100 remain. Colonial intrusion, infectious diseases, and the steady loss of their land have all played a role in their decline. And Portman himself played a crucial role. According to historian Adam Goodhart, he was
very much a participant in and at least complicit with the genocide against the Andaman Islanders that was committed by the British in the 1800s. Somebody who was involved in exploitation, including sexual exploitation and physical abuse of the native people. And really, if it had been up to Portman, it probably would have happened to the Sentinelese as well, because he tried repeatedly to invade the island as he had done with many other groups and to bring them into submission to British rule.
Years later, Portman himself would admit that his actions may have sealed the Sentinelese distrust of outsiders for good. John finds himself blindfolded on a dirt road somewhere in the state of Kansas. He was put there and left alone. In the woods nearby, he finds a village. The inhabitants of the village appear to be some kind of native tribe. But not really. The village is fake, and the inhabitants are actors with costumes. All of this is part of his training. John joined a secretive boot camp for Christian missionaries. All Nations is a religious organization that trains people like John for their quests, and he is right in the middle of an exercise. His task is to preach the teachings of Jesus to the isolated tribe he considers unholy heathens. The fake village people act as if they are hostile, aggressively threatening him with fake spears, speaking gibberish. To John, this is the ultimate test that will prepare him for his big mission on North Sentinel. He knows the danger of setting foot on the island. He knows it could cost him his life. In 1974, a National Geographic film crew tried to meet Sentinelese face-to-face on camera for the first time. The Sentinelese spotted the boat from afar and waved their arms, mocked the outsiders, and shot arrows at the crew. They clearly did not want visitors. 7 years later, a cargo ship named Primrose ran aground on a reef on North Sentinel during a terrible storm. At first, the crew was probably relieved to be near dry land. But just 2 days later, they sent a desperate cable.
Wild men, estimate more than 50, carrying various homemade weapons, are making 2 or 3 wooden boats, worrying they will board us at sunset. All crew members' lives not guaranteed.
But because of the weather conditions, rescue missions failed. So the crew had to guard the ship with a flare gun, axes, and some lengths of pipe. But before it got to an actual fight, the crew was finally evacuated by helicopter. But still, John is determined to go. To him, North Sentinel may be Satan's last stronghold, and he could be their savior.
I think I might die tomorrow, and I wish I could have had more time to express my thanks to you.
Now John is out of his kayak and an arrow is fired at him. Miraculously, it only pierces his Bible. He's unharmed, at least according to John's diary. It's unclear if his Bible actually saved him. It could well have been a bit of storytelling on his side. What's clear? The Sentinelese chase him into the water. In panic, he swims away towards a boat out at sea. It belongs to local Indian fishermen. Before setting off for North Sentinel Island, John had paid the fishermen a $325 bribe to take him there. They departed from Port Blair towing a kayak behind it, the one John would use to make his approach to the island. Back on the boat, John takes stock of the situation. His Pelican case is gone. He had to leave it behind when he fled. It included a first aid kit, clothes, other essentials, and his passport. He had previously hidden another case on shore when he first landed to scout out the cove in the early morning. It is unknown if the Sentinelese found both cases, especially the one he hid might still be there to this day. Without his passport, he can't easily travel back to the US. For John, it's just another reason to stay and pursue his mission further. But the Sentinelese made it very clear. They do not want him there. And John really doesn't want to die. Yet, he decides to give it another try.
You guys might think I'm crazy in all this, but I think it's worth it to declare Jesus to these people. Please do not be angry at them or at God if I get killed. Don't retrieve my body. Soli Deo Gloria, John Chow, November 16th, 2018, 6:20 in the morning.
The next day, John takes the supposed pierced Bible as a sign. Today, he believes, is the day he will start to bring Jesus to the Sentinelese. This time, he tells the fishermen to leave without him. Next, he strips down to his underpants in an attempt to gain the tribe's trust. Then he steps back into the water and starts swimming. The island is just within reach. There are no records of what exactly happened that day. The only thing we know for sure is the outcome. One day passes. The fishermen return and look for John. He's nowhere to be seen. Then suddenly they spot something. A group of Sentinelese emerge from the tree line, dragging John's dead body across the sand. No words, no mercy. The message is clear. He crossed a line he was never meant to cross. John Allen Chau's death in 2018 made global news. Some called him a dumb American, a deluded idiot. John's father, a Christian himself, doesn't share this view. He blames evangelicals' extreme Christianity for his son's death. In an email to The Guardian, he called religion the opium of the masses. The evangelical organization that trained him depicted John as a martyr. In a statement they said, "The privilege of sharing the gospel has often involved great cost." A long time ago, a group of scientists actually managed to make peaceful contact with the Sentinelese after decades of trying. But these same scientists eventually pushed for the island to be under India's protection. Driven by concerns for the tribe's health, the island has been off limits since the late 90s. All anthropological work stopped. No more expeditions, no more gifts, no more visits. And to us, that's a good thing. After all, the North Sentinelese never asked for any of this.